Happy Wednesday. We are back. We are back. We have some ladies that's going to be joining us a little bit later. Our other two co-hosts, but we're going to get it popping right now anyway.
Yeah,
Diana, are you ready for some cocktails and conversation?
I am ready for some
All
cocktails.
right. Well, you know what? We're about to get it popping in just a second.
Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? Are you ready for cocktails and conversations? With your host, the unapologetic diva, Dr. G, the girlfriend therapist, Dr. Cortina Lewis, the Blue Phoenix Heels, Louisa Harrell, and the networking extraordinaire, Diana Richardson Philippus.
Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? This is Herspiration Happy Hour. Woo! We are back. Season 7, episode 1, live.
I know. We are here.
I know. How you feeling today?
I'm all right. It's Wednesday. Let's get into it.
Yes. So look, we have been on hiatus since December. So there's been so many things that have transpired, like between Christmas and New Year's and weddings and Lord knows, let's not even talk about the whole media thing. So I don't know, where do you want to start? Because
I guess maybe we should start from the top on down, apparently. I mean, because so much has been going on. But let's just open it up with somebody is a newlywed right now.
I said, where my wifey top tonight? I was like, I am just glad it's over. I also am very glad that I took this break, not having to try to podcast and do a whole lot of other things at the same time, but stress. Stress and stress on top of stress with weddings. And I'm going to tell you why. So look, how real do you want me to be?
I think you should be quite real, because remember, we had this conversation early on when you got engaged, and Cortina and I tried to tell you that wedding planning thing is serious business. I mean, even with your best efforts.
Yeah. So let me see where to start. Okay. Wedding overall, I'm happy it's over. It didn't go as planned, but I didn't think it would go that far to the left either. At all. Just to start off, like immediately, damn, I don't even know where to start at. Like you know what? I would say this. I did really well without in the whole year and plus that I was planning, that I was not a bridezilla at all. I feel like even with regards to my bridesmaids, I was not bridezilla. I was just posting in a group, wasn't even all the time. I feel like in that aspect, everything worked great. My bridal party, bomb. Bridal shower, whole different thing, but it's okay. We talked about that. But then when it came down to the wedding, now that was really interesting. So let's just say that rehearsal, it was on my nerves, wedding day definitely did not go the way that I expected. I missed out on a whole lot of photos that should have been taken, especially of my bridal party. I did have conversation with my photographer. I mean, they were gorgeous photos. It's just there was a lot missing. And then, I did have to cuss somebody out. I stormed into my reception and cussed somebody out. People weren't where they're supposed to be, even though they should have been. There was people in the wedding that should not have been in there. Hey, we're just, we're back. I'm just talking about the wedding right now. And so for me, I feel like, and then I don't know whose playlist the DJ was playing, but it wasn't what I sent months before. But there was just a lot of hiccups there. I actually even left my bouquet upstairs, and I think out of my frustration with even people not being where they're supposed to be and not coming to me and asking me how things were supposed to be, despite having names in places. During the reception, bridal parties, names were being called, even though they had the names right in front of their face. There was just a whole lot that was taking place that should not have happened at all, and it took place. And I feel like even like I've been married just over a month later, I'm still like processing feelings as it relates to friendships that I had while I was there. I think just knowing that myself got aggravated, my bridal party got aggravated, I got aggravated. And I often feel like the audacity of people who show up thinking it's about them and it's not. And I'm just going to be straight. The audacity of it. I think people fail to realize that a wedding is important for the two people that are getting married. So for you to personalize it and make it about you, that's a problem for me. And I don't, the best intentions, all well and done, but you have an opportunity. It makes room for the person who have put all this work in to watch it just go under, if that makes sense.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say that it went under. I understand that what you visualized didn't completely come to fruition. However, no one will really know that, on the outside looking in. And it's important for you to always keep in the forefront, just like you said, the meaning behind that day, which was all about you and your now husband.
Yes.
I will say from personal experience, weddings tend to show you exactly who people really are. I mean, I lost a friendship behind that when I got married, for the same reasons, like they making it about them. And it was horrible. And we haven't spoken. That was 7 years ago. And I was like, you know what? After the wedding was said and done, I was like, girl, I'm good on you. Like, I can't even do it. Like, I just don't want to. But yeah, it can be a lot. It can be a lot.
But you know what? I'm just happy it's over. I am still getting photos. I'm still waiting on my overall recap video. I will say this. One of the things that, I did lose a friend, maybe two, but my bride squad held it down for me. When my mom even said, you chose well when you chose your bridal party. And we had such a good time. I am pissed that we didn't get all of the photos, but we had some good goddamn times with the videos and stuff when we were getting dressed and all of those things. But shit happens. And that's the one thing that people fail to realize, is that you can't get that time back. And there are things that happen that I can't get that time back, or photos back, or anything else like that. But I'm a married woman now. I'm happy. Married life has been great. And this is going to be the conversation, because I know we talked about, it's going to change. It's going to change. No. So physically and actionably, nothing has changed. Mentally, there's a shift though. Mm-hmm. And I think that I was not prepared for, because one, saying husband is different. I don't know. It's like it's weird. I'm like, I got a husband. And then this name changing shit is for the birds.
Yeah.
Because I'm waiting. Like right now, I'm waiting on all of my debit cards to come in, because I went to my banks all in one day and decided, I'm gonna change my last name on it. And they said, your cards should still be good until you get them. But what they did not say is they won't work, because the expiration date apparently has changed on them, because they're not accepting my expiration dates on anything that I try to purchase right now.
Mm-hmm. That changeover typically doesn't happen until after you get the new card and you activate it.
But I told them my cards was not lost or stolen. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's weird. Somebody made a mistake at the bank is what it sounds like to me. Yeah. Because your cards that you currently have should still be, you should still be able to use them until you get the new card and then you activate it.
That has not been.
Girl,
I
that's
can't,
smart.
I can't do much. Everything keeps bouncing back. And, and I have everything pretty much saved. So the credit card, all that stuff comes up. And most of mine, even when I went to the bank, I'm giving him all of my stuff off memory because I utilize my cards a lot, which is why I'm like, nope, don't change it. But I tell you, it's just interesting to be just having to make all of these different shifts and changes, that stuff that men don't have to do. So, but it's working out. Like I said, I'm happy it's over. I'm just looking forward to, the next 50 years or however long, we'll be married or we'll be together, because we've already been together 10 and a half. So that's kind of, yeah. So what's been going on with you ladies? I know, Diana, you had a conference. Cortina, you attended the conference. Luisa, I don't know did you attend the conference in Atlanta? Okay. So what's been going on with you ladies while we was on hiatus?
Just life. I'm preparing for college kind of stuff with Morgan. So she has to start applying August. So she has about 4 months before we start applying to colleges. So I already know I'm gonna cry. We went on our spring preview and I was just looking like, oh my gosh, part of me really wants her to stay here, like here in my house, but I know I cannot. I gotta let her spread her wings. But if I let myself think about it too much, I get very emotional. So,
first of all, I can assure you that if she goes and she doesn't go that far and she has a car, she's going to be home a lot anyway. That's how I was. I went away 4 hours and I was still home every weekend. My mom was like, why don't you stay up here? I'm coming home. And so the adjustment was hard for me when I first went off to college.
Not me. I was gone.
I just don't know what I'm going to do.
To the wind. I was having fun though. I was having fun. I was a little homesick, a little bit, but I was out of state though. I went out.
Gotta let your only one go away, like my miracle baby.
She's not going away. She's just growing up.
I know.
She's not.
I've never done this before. It's hard.
I can imagine. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right.
You're gonna cry a lot though.
Oh, I'm crying already. She getting on my nerves, and I'm still crying because I'm gonna miss her aggravation.
Yeah, like I said, she'll be coming home regularly, more often than you think at first, and so the transition might not be as bad at first, and then after you adjust, it'll be like, okay, I'll go visit you. You can visit me, and so she'll have. And I think you enjoy hearing all the stories of her experience at college.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
As long as she don't attend no P. Diddy parties.
Well, I doubt if she's gonna be attending that.
Well, you never know.
He ain't on the run somewhere?
I don't think so. Is he on the run?
No, I think I saw him partying with somebody. After they detained him, but then he got out. I don't know, was it bail, bond? I don't know. On something.
What are y'all thoughts about that? Because that has been.
Oof.
What are y'all thoughts on that?
I'm not.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either. I don't know what to think about that. I have mixed feelings when it comes down to this situation with Sean Puffy Combs.
Why did you say mixed feelings though?
Because on the one hand, I do understand some of the things that he did, in reference to Cassie thing. I'm not, that was wrong. But some of these other things that it just seems like a lot, a sex trafficking ring. Like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't put nothing past nobody.
Yeah. I was about to say, he had a lot of young kids with him. He had a lot of, Usher was 14, 15, Justin Bieber. It was a lot of kids with him.
I guess I must have missed all that because I don't be paying no
attention. Have come out and said, hey, I think it's one of what's his name came out and was speaking about it, saying he's never seen Puffy do anything inappropriate at any.
We don't care about Stevie J. He is a sleazeball. He is. consistent.
you also don't see anything where Usher's coming forward and saying, "Hey, I was under his wing and this happened," or Justin.
But
I don't
But
think
you
that
don't
Usher
see the
said a lot.
opposite either. You don't hear anybody. You only see one person standing up for Puffy, and that is Stevie J. And when that's the only one that's speaking out on your behalf, we got a problem.
But I think
where some smoke is some fire.
well, perhaps people don't want to speak up on his behalf. This other than Stevie J is because they don't want no one to know that they were attending these parties.
I mean,
potentially.
I mean that could be it. Would you come out and say, "Oh, I was attending these parties and they're talking about sex trafficking and drugging women and all of these things"?
only thing I'm gonna say is, Cat Williams told us on January 7th. He said,
I still haven't listened to that.
everybody gonna be exposed this year. It's only two sides, light and dark will be exposed.
Well, I saw me and my mom sat and watched the entire Cat Williams.
I saw it twice.
Damn.
Maybe I need to go ahead and watch it. I have not watched it as of yet.
The whole thing twice. I watched it by myself. I tried to get people to watch it, but then as it caught on, then D was like, "Oh, I said I was trying to get you to watch this yesterday, but you didn't want to watch it with me. Now it's catching on, and now you want to see what people talking about." So then we sat upstairs, and me, his brother was down here. We all sat there, and we just I watched it again.
Yeah, I've only watched it.
So Puff. So Cat was just exposing everyone.
I won't say everybody. It wasn't like
I won't use the word exposing either. I think he was speaking his truth as it related to things with him. People who, if it felt like to me, put his name in their mouth and then or was embellishing the truth about things, and so he came out and went on the record was getting some stuff straight, and he said, "I got receipts." So there was not a single person that wanted to come out and challenge him about all this stuff he was saying.
Well, Monique and her husband had some things to say. I didn't even know what he said about Monique, but I know that her husband,
Cat.
He didn't. No.
It wasn't
Monique and her husband were talking about the other one.
Her son.
No. Was talking about DL Hughley, not Cat Williams.
Yes. You're right.
No. I'm like not Cat. No, she just was on tour with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all starting to get confusing to me. Okay, you're right. That's right. It was DL Hughley, because then he got on and was being extremely disrespectful to Monique, and I was turned off, and I was a thank you a DL Hughley fan.
Yeah, well, Cat said that there would be no DL slander, so he didn't have nothing to say about DL.
Yeah, he don't.
He didn't say anything negative about him. That's why I'm like, but Monique does. But I think her and him have always had like an issue
for a long while.
Yeah, hella long while. So
yeah, a long while.
Yeah, and then so here's another conversation that I want to talk about while we're talking about celebrity stuff. The situation with Halle Berry and the doctors misdiagnosing her with herpes.
Y'all
looking at me like that? Y'all didn't see?
Didn't know nothing about that.
It was just unless you and that we went in the room, but you can't. Nothing is for certain unless you get a test done. So I had two thoughts in my mind, right? If she had been diagnosed previously and she was experiencing or explaining symptoms, that would make a little bit more sense than if she had never been diagnosed, right? And it's not saying, "Oh yeah, you got herpes, but you're going through menopause." That just doesn't. That doctor, if that is what happened, does not need to be practicing. I'm sorry. Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait a minute. So she just came out and just said, "I was misdiagnosed with herpes."
Yeah, she said she went to the doctor because when she got there, something about her saying that she felt like she had I can't think of the word. Was it splinters or something like that? It was like burning and whatever. painful, extremely painful. And maybe they did the exam and saw
extremely painful sex.
Yes. After sex, yeah.
And the doctor came away with herpes.
That's what I said.
But from what I've heard, like after that story and all of those things, that they were saying that I guess during the exam it showed where it was red and all of that other stuff, and so maybe without a test they said it, but then she got tested and it was negative.
So this is the thing. You should never tell a patient what they have. If there is a test to do it, you can say it looks like,
right,
it appears to be, but you cannot give someone a diagnosis without definitive proof to validate that diagnosis. That is crazy. So I don't know if it was a word misunderstanding or anything, because she was so shocked, like, what? That maybe she misheard. I'm hoping she misheard what this doctor said. And the doctor said, well, just on, physical observation, it could be, or it looks like, but let's do further testing to see.
So she's going through menopause, which can cause painful.
Yeah.
Right. So the redness could be, she must have been getting it in, honey. Either way, but we gonna work through this elasticity pain, because that's really what it is. She needs some stuff to help with the hormones down there.
A little more lubrication.
A little more lubrication. Yeah, but then I don't know how that could be interpreted as herpes.
That's why I'm so confused.
That's a lot.
I guess if it's beat up on the inside real hard or something like that.
No, because another thing is, because because the way you explained it, it could have also been a really bad yeast infection, right? Because we know several things can throw off your pH, where it can cause you to have like little thin cuts because it's just that inflamed and red, right? So if the doctor would have said, well, maybe they didn't see any, yeast or anything like that, but maybe it could be, the symptoms of a starting or a yeast infection with the white discharge just finishing, and she's still having, because of course, if you're having sex and that's there, it's going to be irritated. It's going to be painful. So he could have said possible, severe yeast infection, possible herpes, the possible.
First of all, I don't even think the doctor should even come out and say anything regarding herpes unless they know for a fact that that's what that is. Because I couldn't imagine the doctor saying that to me. That would throw anybody off the deep end, right? Like herpes. She probably done went home, cussed a man out, went the hell off on him. Like it had a trickling effect.
But see, that's the stigma.
What it did.
But that's what we have to work through when we're talking about STIs, specifically herpes, right? Because it's so like boogeyman. But the reality is, if you go to get a regular battery of STI testing, they are not going to test you for herpes. They're going to test you for everything else. You have to specifically ask to be tested. Herpes can lie dormant for years. You can be done with through 8 partners, right? And it could have never have come out, could have been lying dormant for years. And so let's say you have an outbreak, right? And you're like, oh, you cheating on me or whatever. It doesn't necessarily work like that, because you can go through all of your testing history and you would be shocked to find out that, dang, I ain't never get tested for this. So when I'm speaking to people, I tell them, you want to be able to ask for that, because that is not a regular battery of tests that's going to be added.
For men. Neither is chlamydia for men, especially. Women, if you have symptoms, they will check.
Well, that's different, but that's if you have symptoms. But people, when you're changing partners,
but men doesn't have symptoms of chlamydia.
Well, so that's different because they're going to test you. That's regularly tested, right?
I'm saying not for men, though. Not for men. Men don't regularly test for chlamydia.
No, but I'm not talking about chlamydia. I'm talking about, but if someone goes, this is what I'm asking. If you go for a regular exam, or if you are, because I'm changing partners, I don't have no symptoms. I'm going because I need STI testing. They're not going to add it. They're going to do chlamydia, gonorrhea, maybe HIV. If you ask, maybe hepatitis and syphilis, right?
Yep.
That's what they're going to test you for.
And trichomonas.
Well, not even that. Not even. I'm talking about regular battery of tests. Like that's on average. That's going to be across any STI testing. So when we're talking about that, you have to specifically ask. So I'm not talking about regular testing. I'm talking about if you walk into a clinic and you say, I want a panel of STI tests, you are going to have to say, oh, you know what? Oh, go ahead and add that herpes on there too. HSV 1 and 2. Not just 2, but 1 and 2.
I remember when my husband and I, when we got together, because we were abstinent for 5 months, 6 months before I decided to have sex with my husband. I was on a journey, and I had to make sure that, you know, he was going to be the one, because I was very intentional when I met him. And I remember when we were reaching that stage, and I was like, well, you know, I'm gonna need for you to go to the doctor, and I'm gonna need for you to get a full panel for STDs to include all of the bitches. And I will never forget the look on his face, like, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need for you to do that, and then I'm gonna need for you to show it to me. And I don't mind, you know, I'll do the same thing with you. And he told me, he was like, I've never had a woman to do that to me before. I was like, listen, it's real life out here in these streets. It really is. And, you know, the condom game, yeah, that's all good, but we know how that go. Once it get to getting good, y'all, you know, they want to take it off and stuff like that. And I'm not going to play them games with you. We don't even have to use one. Just go get what I told you to get, and then we can have a good time. And so he did. But I will never forget. You're right. I had to say to him, you have to specifically ask, you know, for the herpes and for, I think only did the HIV along with the other ones. And it was just very intriguing, you know, but poor Hallie.
Well, you know, it also goes back to the importance of you know, being proactive about testing and being proactive about your individual health. I mean, sexually or otherwise, because what are they like right now? The statistics just came out from the Bureau of Census or whatever that Atlanta is number 3.
Oh yeah, that came. Yeah,
HIV. In the US, I'm like, damn, Miami's on the list. Memphis.
Yeah, that's not new though. So I don't know why people were freaking out.
And it's back on the rise. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm married. I'm glad I've been in the same relationship for 10.5 years, because nobody have time. But you know what? Here's what was crazy. Did you see the comments on some of these? Like I saw it posted, and a lot of the comments diverted back to the men who are on the down low, bringing it back to their significant other women. And I'm thinking, okay, we need to stop misinformation that's out there. And they were specifically talking about Atlanta, not other places, but it's still misinformation that's being put out there. And so you could see the level of indifference in the chat, which was crazy to me.
What we need to do is make sure that it is our own responsibility to care for our sexual health and well-being. It's nobody else's. You can't be like, well, you ain't tell me. Did you ask? Because yeah, maybe they didn't tell you, and that's their bad. That's wrong on them. But did you ask? Did you inquire? Did you make it mandatory before I go without protection with you that I'm going to do this? And we have to just be realistic. Condoms doesn't protect everything. It's not, right? So if we're talking about herpes, right? You can use that's covering the shaft of the penis. It's not covering the other areas where active virus particles could be shedding. So I believe that education is important. Yeah. I believe that And I'm glad they have like a 10-year framework from that the White House puts out like every few years. And a few years ago, HIV really lost a lot of its funding for education. And I think that the lack of education is what's causing people to not worry about it anymore. I remember I was doing a HIV and AIDS talk somewhere, and somebody was like, well, isn't there a cure for that? I'm like, oh my God. In my mind, I ain't say it out loud. I was like, oh, these people really don't know. It was like, well, look at Magic Johnson. Are you a billionaire? No, you're not. So you are a regular person. So we need to make sure that on any rate, it does not matter that we are knowledgeable on what it means, the difference between HIV and what AIDS is. What does U equals U? So undetectable. What is an undetectable viral load? What does that look like? Medications, PrEP, all of these different things that are important when we're talking about sexual health and protection and testing when it comes to our rights as sexual beings. And so I just think that it's everybody's own individual responsibility to care for themselves and to do their due diligence to ask if the person that they are engaging in, can you trust this person? Because if you are saying, I don't know if I can trust them. So you don't know if you can trust them, but you want to trust your body and your health. You want to leave it up to them. That doesn't make any sense
at all.
Well, some people aren't, they're not that keen about their own health.
Well, they can't get mad when something happens.
Exactly.
Yeah. As I said, I got my letter in the mail today, well, a couple of days ago, about needing to schedule my mammogram. I'm like, oh, is it that time of year again?
Yes, it is.
And it's mandatory that I do it annually. And, I had to find that out on my own, because you can't even leave that to your doctors, because doctors leave and you cannot have any notice. Or doctors stay and they just, you're just one in a number of people that they are actually seeing. So, but yeah, after my little health scare, I make sure that every year, May, that's when I do all of my wellness checks and doctor's appointments and medication refills and all of that other stuff. But, I've definitely had to advocate for my own health care. I've had to speak up when things didn't feel comfortable for me. I'm not going to just let you speak medically over my head. You better bring that down some and explain that to me. Mm-hmm. Is that's important. And so it was one of the things that even with my dad, when he had his stroke, I was right there. I'm like asking all kinds of questions so that I can break it down for him in the way that he can process it. Because stroke does, it does things to the mind, and it makes them they have to think about and process things a little bit slower. But health is definitely important. And I think that it's important that we not have misinformation out there and continue to keep it going and going and going. And so as opposed to just providing resources where people can gain information from. Very true. Yes. So, but I would like to know, speaking of, I want to know how your sex talk went, your sex session workshop went. I asked Diana and she said she didn't get a chance to sit in on it. So,
well, let's just start here. So the Women in Business Networking Conference was absolutely phenomenal this year. It really was. It was electric. The vibe was just on fire. It was amazing. It really was. I'm still tired. Let's just start there. And it was March 16th. Well, I haven't made 30 days yet.
Yeah, it hasn't been a month yet. That's why I was going to come back to you once we got off sex. But go ahead. I'm loving this because
you said
I was trying not to be off a topic,
Well, so, go on, get on the sex. Then
we can come back to the sex. That's something we can always.
No. I just wanted to say that first, and then let Cortina take it away.
I know, because now I'm inquisitive about the other sessions. We're gonna come back and talk about sex. So.
Well, I don't know about the other sessions.
You wasn't in them.
I wasn't in them. I can't speak to the other sessions. I can speak to the overall conference, which was dynamic. It really was. We know, unfortunately, Dr. P wasn't able to join us for some various reasons with traveling. It was a lot. But the conference was really phenomenal. It really was. We had an excellent lineup. I just can't say enough, about the breakthroughs and the transformations that were happening in that room.
So I
March.
have a question because I did not have an opportunity to go. Were there sessions that was running concurrently?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, that's why.
Mhm.
No, because I was just,
Yeah.
just wondering. Because you know what, y'all, I'm gonna tell you something. Some of these airlines right now, still people are canceling, especially. I don't even equate it to bad weather because I didn't know whether weather was bad. Well, no, it wasn't weather. The first time I have never heard of anything. There's administrative issues after you board the plane. After you board the plane, it said administrative issues, and then we had to deboard, and next they canceled the flight, and I automatically saw $100 credit hit my email. The second time, how the fuck do you board a plane and the pilot's not on it?
He got delayed, maybe somewhere else.
That was the other part. I mean, we boarded the plane, we're ready to go, and then there was like everybody has to deboard because the pilot isn't on. He hasn't made it yet. Well, why would you board a plane and the pilot is not on it? And then they say you're going to wait. It could take up to 2 hours, and then 35 minutes later they cancel the flight. Yeah, it was. And maybe I chalk it up to maybe he was on spring break. I don't know. It was spring break season.
He might have gotten hung up and lines were crossed, and maybe they were trying to get another pilot to come and fill in, but then that fell through. So then they probably just had to cancel the flight. It is, I've never, knock on wood, had anything of that nature happen to me while traveling, and I hope I never do. But it could have been a plethora of reasons, things happen.
God was like, no, ma'am, whatever I'm gonna protect you from. That's the only thing I can chalk it up to, because I've never had such craziness happen. I mean, I was getting up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning to go catch morning flights, 5:45, 6 a.m. flights, to board a plane and deboard. I've never boarded a plane, deboarded, and it canceled so many times. And then the last flight, I just said, look, fly me home because you're not going to get me to Atlanta. They couldn't even have me go home that day. They literally was like, we don't have anything, so we're gonna have to send you on Saturday. So Saturday I get there, as soon as I go through security, flight delayed.
Oh wow.
I called Jay and I said, well, my flight's delayed. He was like, are you kidding me? I was like,
Dang.
Yeah. So my flight was delayed. So that was freaking, I was like, this makes me not want to fly anymore. Now I know I would just drive, because it was painful. It was a whole pain. Now, granted, so this was the funny part, is like, granted, I was in Miami, but I was not in Miami dressed to be in Miami. I had on conference clothes in Miami. Yeah. The worst thing ever. No kind of leisure, nothing, no leisure shoes other than what I had on my feet to wear to fly in. But yeah, I was not prepared for Miami. It was hot as hell in Miami. I mean, it was nice weather, but so I had a top, like a bodysuit that I had a blazer to go over. So I just put the bodysuit on and in my nice little pants. Broke my shoe. One of my shoes that I was wearing.
Tell me about that.
One of my shoes while walking, because it wasn't made for that kind of walking, but broke my whole piece of my sandal. Yeah, so interesting. So while we're talking about that, let's get on it, since I did miss the sex session. I mean, how was that for you?
Well, it was good. It was a lot of great real life questions that came up that were able to be talked through and processed through. We talked about the importance of pleasure and how pleasure is important, because we do things that are pleasurable. We start these businesses because we have an interest in them. We feel like it's our purpose, it's our passion. And what happens when you pour all of that purpose and passion and pleasure into your business, but you don't pour any of it back into you, and exploring the parts of you, that are pleasurable. And sometimes we have so much of control problems, like we want to control everything. We control the people in our life. We control how our business goes. We're directing. We're always in that role, and that translate over to the bedroom when you're not able to let go. So how do you do that as well? So we talked about the power dynamic of being an entrepreneur and how you can balance that when you are in the bedroom. So,
Okay.
so talking about that, and then we talked about we did talk about some sexual dysfunction that came up, because I would have to say everybody who was in there, everybody who was in there was meant to be in there. Mm-hmm. They were very, very open about some of the challenges that they had been experiencing, and I'm talking about intimate details from partners. And it's like, this is my life. I had one woman, she said, I could not wait to this session because I'm living this every day and I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do. And so being able to give practical, resources and tools to help people navigate through the sexual challenges that they have within their relationships, whether it be with a partner or with themselves, that was just very, very great.
I was so happy that we had that this was incorporated, because like you said, women, entrepreneurs, CEO bosses, we're on this journey, and it is a lot of control. It's a lot of power that we have, but we do forget about that softer side of us and we need to incorporate that, right? We need to understand how important sexual pleasure is.
Right.
So
gotta be just tired sometimes. Like my body
all the time.
My body says one, or my body says one thing, my mind says something totally different. Yeah. And then my hormones are just like, well, whatever. Yeah. So it's like I'm battling three different things.
And we talked about the different types of sex. So spontaneous sex, scheduled sex, and maintenance sex, and how all three of those should be incorporated within your relationship, right?
Well, can you just give me a quick synopsis of that right now? I mean, sure. For the audience, I need the threes.
Yeah. So spontaneous sex is,
come on,
I don't know, we just happen to do it. Like it just happened, right? And then the scheduled sex is, either you can say like every date night or whatever. It's just something scheduled, right? It's not regimented. So we're not going to say like every Tuesday, like that might get boring. Like, but we may say, at least once a week, we're going to make sure we put it on the calendar. So a lot of people are like, scheduled sex, that can be boring. No, because if I'm used to like staying a little bit late at the office or doing something, if I already know from the morning when I wake up that this is D-Day, no pun intended, or P-Day, my mind is going to operate differently. What I mean when I say my mind is going to operate differently is I might not take that extra patient. I might not take that extra call because I already know my mind is already like, okay, this is on the schedule, right? We may be a little bit more flirty with each other, right? Building up to the anticipation that we know what the ending is going to be in this evening. You instead of taking the shower, you may just soak in a bathtub for a little while and just really get yourself in the mood, having the whole feels, maybe taking that extra time to put on lingerie or something a little bit more sexy, or that little nighttime perfume that you wear. You might be a little bit more intentional about your routine for the evening. So that is the beauty of having it on the schedule, right? And then you have maintenance sex. So it's not spontaneous and it's not scheduled, but it's where both of you are like, you know what? Okay, yeah, it's been a few days.
Or a few days, few weeks.
It's been a few days or a few weeks. You know what? Yeah, we need to go ahead, right? Or it is, I know I've probably said no the last two times. I'm not doing it out of obligation, but for the maintenance and the sexual health of our relationship, we need to go ahead and do this. So
But
those
how
are
do
the
you
three
know
different
when,
things.
how can you say not obligation? Because I do find myself at times
Mhm.
doing it because I feel obligated to do it,
So this is
because
the
I don't
thing.
want him to be, I can completely not be in the mood, but I know that this is something that he needs and desires. And I feel obligated as his wife to fulfill that.
So when we find things that are enjoyable and pleasurable and we want to do them, we don't see them as an obligation.
Oh,
This is the
well,
thing.
I
We,
like it when I get into it.
but that's once you get into it. So you have a responsive type of desire. I'm responding to once we already get into it. But that spontaneous desire, like I'm just like, huh, yeah, it's not really
It ain't.
there. So changing and helping your brain shift from an obligatory mindset to a pleasurable mindset is going to be what is needed, so that you're not feeling like it's a chore or I'm only doing it because they want it. Well, damn, that mindset might impact your ability to experience pleasure. Because I'm like, okay, just hurry up. Okay.
Sometimes
All
I
right, we
do.
done. Okay, well, like that's it. I don't want to
Every
do it.
now and again, I'm like that, but I mean, most of the time, we end up laughing in the process because he'll be like, and I'll be like, oh.
Because that's the thing. Think about when you just say, I'm like, I'm really not into it. And your body responds to your mindset.
Absolutely.
Right? Everything starts in the mind. If
Yes,
I really
it
don't want to
does.
be here, it's going to come out in the way that I am really embracing you, right? People
Absolutely.
can feel the energy. You can feel when somebody, they just doing it because of you, not really because of them. How do we get into the full thing? And that's another thing where we talk about expanding our definition of what sex is. Sex is not just penetration, right? So if I want to find pleasurable experiences with my partner, I might not feel like going to Pound Town, right? But I may have things that I find very pleasurable to help me and my partner connect, so I don't feel like it's an obligation, because we might not have penetration, but it might be deeply sexually satisfying and pleasurable.
So let me tell you
have
something.
to expand it.
I purchased this book, and ironically, her name is Diana Richardson.
Oh.
Go figure. And it's all about tantric sex, right?
Okay.
Which I really enjoy, and it has a lot to do with not so much as the actual penetration of sex,
it's the connection,
but just the connection. And there was, I know he probably gonna kill me for saying this. I don't care. So one of the chapters, it's about soft penetration.
Okay.
And it has to do with not allowing, you don't want the partner to become fully erect, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're wanting to connect and get that pleasure just out of it being soft, and about, the woman's vagina. That's making me laugh just talking about this out loud, but how our vaginas can be demanding.
You said a vagina can be demanding?
Demanding.
Oh,
what that say? That says something.
Urban Tantra.
Ooh, yes. I'm gonna get that one.
So this is another good one.
Okay.
I'm gonna buy that. Like, I've always been into the
share that in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat.
Put that in the chat.
I'll get that one too.
But
it was very pleasurable. Like, there was like a connection, and like we was doing this with the lights on, because I've never really been like a lights person all the time. I have moments, but it was just highly I don't know, it's just a lot of connection there. Like, I like it, and I like to pull it out here and there. Like, I like to do stuff like that with him, because you gotta spice it up sometime, y'all. Especially when I've been with your man for a minute.
Now, I think, it's so I don't know whether he watching or not, but anyway, it's so weird that 10.5 years together, I feel like it's not that we don't always take it serious, but sometimes it's so hard for us to get serious, like not be laughing and shit during the moments. And I know, I'm like, damn, this is kind of crazy, but just like all out, just bust out laughing.
But that's part of
We be
the allure of it, right?
Yeah.
If you have to be willing to laugh and do those things, right? With your partner. So that's a part of it in the beginning because it's gonna feel very, very foreign. I know D gets tired of me, like just being like, okay, honey, let's try this. And a lot of times he tells me, I'm not doing that. I'm like, no, we have to do this because I cannot be giving this to my clients and I haven't tried it.
Right.
So it's important for me, right? I can't just be up here like willy-nilly like saying all this. And he always is like, boy, you have a really, really good talk game. I said, no, everything I say, I believe it. It doesn't necessarily equate to me having sex every day. That's
Right.
not just because I'm knowledgeable and this is what I do. That doesn't mean that the red light special is on every day. So
Red light special.
so it's so funny. But I find a lot of pleasure and enjoyment helping individuals be able to experience pleasure.
But I also think for you, do you also, I mean, and that also opens doors for you to learn things yourself.
Uh-oh. I'm frozen.
You're not
No,
frozen.
not to us.
Well, she wasn't frozen and she just froze.
So yeah, it
You're fine, Diana. I see you. You was always moving.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You
Yes.
you weren't frozen on our end. You were still moving about.
So it's really, really enlightening to be able to have conversations with people and see different perspectives and see how people respond and react. And if I'm being very, very honest, as I get older, my sexual template changes or has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And so a sexual template are our pleasures, our desires, wants, needs, our interests, kinks, fantasies, fetishes, all of those things, right? And they start very young and they tend to change over time. Well, I'm not going to say tend to change, but they can. They're not cemented in our life. Different things that used to bring us joy might not bring us joy anymore. Things that we never thought about doing, we might actually be into doing. And I don't think I was maybe like this 10 years ago, but I would be open to possibly having an open relationship.
Oh, hell no. I'm so selfish. I'm
What you mean by open? How open? What you mean open?
that motherfucker me.
Yeah. So this is the thing, right? And I've shared this with D, but he is totally against it. He was like, "Nah, I'm good. No." But this is the thing. I think previously I was never in a relationship that was emotionally stable enough for me to get to a place where I feel like that's not something that I would have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's just like, and I don't like the term hall passes. I don't deal in all of that. But even if it was something that D was like, you know what, I'm thinking about this. I would be interested in trying this with a person. I'd be like, okay. I even might want to watch. I think I'm a voyeur. But anyway, that, and I don't know if he see this, he might die on the floor. It's so funny. I was doing a couples vision board conference. And before I went up, he said, don't talk about our sex life. It was the funniest thing.
You putting his disclaimer, Cortina, don't be up here talking about leave our personal business alone, okay? That's
Talk about you. Talk about your stuff. Don't talk about us.
See that? Don't. So guess what the first thing I did when I went there? I said, you guys know what my husband told me right before I came up here?
You know what? Girl, you know what? He probably went to the floor right there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, but no relationship is perfect, but I remember I was just I was laying on the sofa the other day, and I was like, and I want to text this to him. I am so grateful for the man that he is.
Mm.
He might not check all the boxes, but the boxes that are important, some of which I've never experienced from another man that I've had in my life romantically, I am just sometimes in awe at how he shows up, if that makes sense. And so I think those things are important in helping people to get to a level of vulnerability that was not capable in previous relationships. I think I shared that with y'all when we were in Grenada, when we were talking about just some of the characteristics that he had. Now, he's petty as hell, but outside of that, he has this way about himself that allows me just to be vulnerable and be me. He doesn't try to change me. Y'all know I'm crazy and everything else. And
so why do you want an open relationship? Why would you be open to it?
I would be open. So I would not necessarily need it. And I don't think it would be a continuously open, but I would be open to being open. So it doesn't mean that I want it. I just said I would be open to being open.
But that's the gateway for other things to happen, because you can say you're open to being open, and then once the door is open,
you don't think I know this, Diana? I teach this all the time.
Okay, well, then close the door. Close the door.
So you got to think about it like this. I do this work all the time. A lot of my clients are multi-partnered. And so we talk about agreements. We talk about a lot of different things that other people don't necessarily see. And if I have to be very honest, and I'm not basing my opinion on anybody else, some of the issues that monogamy, people who practice monogamy, the stuff that they deal with in their relationship, when I'm dealing with my couples or thruples or polycules that are polyamorous, there are some conversations that they've already worked through that are not issues, right? Like I have a book up here called Polysecure, right? And so the conversations that they have to have, because there are so many agreements that need to be made in those type of relationships so that it doesn't become convoluted, which sometimes it still does. It's great. It makes you have these conversations that otherwise you probably would not think about having. Mm-hmm. And again, that's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna have more communication. That's why I want to, open it up. No, it's just that I could see in relationships where it could fit.
Okay.
I could see where it could fit, because it's not about you not being enough for them or them not being enough for you. It's about, is there a part of me that's a part of my sexuality that I would enjoy that maybe my partner cannot give to me? Mm-hmm. So I don't want to leave my partner. A lot of people we're great. Like, it's not worth saying, nah, I'm out, deuces.
I just want to go do this over here real quick and I'll be back.
And are you okay with that? For some people,
if your partner says no?
Well, it's no. That's cool. So
the other person is left unfulfilled.
That's where you got to have that conversation. And so unfulfillment is not a reason to go find another. You have to really be stable in your relationship. I would never tell, if I have people coming in my office and we dealing with jealousy, infidelity, opening their relationship would be the last thing that I say would be appropriate for their relationship. I can't tell them what to do. I can only tell them, hey, you all are having these problems right now. Doing that is only going to complicate the relationship. Absolutely. So, and those are conversations that I have with people. And you would be surprised at how many couples that I've seen that they're great together, but I have helped them because they was like, you know what, we've been thinking about this. We've been kicking this around. I give them all of the considerations. I give both of them a question sheet for them to fill out separately. We come back together. We fill it out. We see, okay, how are you seeing this? What's your definition of open? What's your definition of open? And I show them all the different type of consensual, non-monogamous constellations that could possibly arise. And I say, okay, well, which one would you like? Which one would you like? Let's talk about these agreements. Let's talk about all of these different things so that when you make a decision, you are clear on the risk, the benefits, the limitations, and the unknowns.
Yes.
I think for me, I don't think I could have someone have an open relationship with somebody. I'm like you, Cortina. I want to see. I'm just nosy like that. That makes me a voyeur, but I would have to see because I'm a body. I want to read emotions and whatnot. I want to know if you're too far into it. Look,
I would be very jealous.
I
would be jealous. I would do it. I would probably partake myself and be cool, but he couldn't do it.
You would need this.
You say you would partake and you would be, but he couldn't. Polyamorous. Oh, okay, yeah. Because I'm just.
No, I wouldn't want to sleep with anybody else, but
I'm extremely selfish when it comes to the people that I've been with. But I don't know. And then again, I've never been to like where you call it where you can, what is it, swinger places where you just watch people or whatever.
You can go to a dungeon.
Never a who?
A play space or a dungeon.
Yeah,
I want to go, but Masibo said that I can't go.
Well, my husband said I can go, but he just won't go with me.
Because not many men want to watch someplace where there's dick slinging everywhere.
Well, he's been before.
Oh,
me. But he said that I'm not, he doesn't want, and we just had this conversation ironically.
You can go
at my birthday brunch. No, he said I cannot go. He's not going anymore, but he has been prior to me. I'm interested to see what is going on in these types of places. I'm curious. I want to
go to one. I mean, that's not a problem.
He told her no. He said no. She can't go.
Okay. So this is the thing,
I'm still going to go. I'm still going to go.
You ain't gonna go with me.
I feel like, and I told him it isn't that I'm going to partake in.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I want to see.
I'm a germaphobe too, so I don't think that I could partake and just be like, oh, let me just get all the plates.
So you have to be mindful, like when you go, there's different levels. It's not like people just laid out on couch as soon as you walk in. That's not how it is, right? So in the front, you have like, for a lot of them, there's like this big open space. There's a bar area that you have and everything like that. And as you go up, like you have some rooms where there's like clear windows, but there's a curtain. So you pull the curtain if you're on the inside, if you don't want people watching, like if it's closed, you close the door. If you leave the window open, that means you are inviting people to just watch you and your partner or whomever. If the door is open, then for a lot of places, that means like people can come in and join, but you have to ask, you have to get consent or whatever. And then when you go up, then you might have the open space where you got like all the beds and all the couches and everything is like
everybody just have
big. So, but it is possible just to go in and watch for the experience. There are some where you have to be invited. There are some where they have like open night where you could just not open relationship, but where you don't have to be like a member or invited by someone else. But I have been asking D to go for like a while. He was like, I'm not going there. Can you stop asking me to go there? I'm not going there. So I stopped asking him. So I have a close like sex therapist or whatever. And we're in this Black mental health leadership or whatever. So we were all talking and we talked about going to a dungeon. So I came home, I was like, oh my gosh, honey, guess what? We're taking a trip and we're going to a dungeon. He was like, oh my God, finally. Now I don't have to go.
Well, I want to go too.
Oh my God. I have to, you know what? I don't know how Jay would feel about either going or me just going. Is that on one of your cards? I might have to pull that card and be like, red light, green light, yellow light.
It says play space. Going to a play space.
Okay.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
Because I'll watch. I mean, it's like watching porn. I'll watch.
That part.
It is.
It's so strange that I'm, and I think this is why there's probably here. I learned about porn in my 30s because I didn't even start watching until I was in my 30s, and I didn't realize there was such a wide. Why are you looking at me like that? There was such a wide variety of porn, and I was like, oh my God, they've got but you have to learn what you like, and I think that's why there are so many variations of porn. So I'm very specific in what I like. So I think if I went to one of those spaces, I feel like I would have to voyeuristically watch what I like, if that makes sense. Yeah, I couldn't just be like walking in and I'd be bored and I'm like, I'm ready to go because I don't see what interests me or something. I mean, to watch. Not bust it open for none of that stuff. I'm just saying, just to experience something different and just you never know what you learn by watching other people. Just saying. So I'm gonna have to ask Jay.
I think you all should attend Sex Down South. It is in Atlanta. It is September 7th through the 9th, I think. It's at the Hilton downtown. And so I wish I could go, but I'll be preparing but they have like shows and just go to one of the shows. Just
like a Wednesday through Friday.
Well, because it's a conference for sexuality educators and people in that world. Oh no, but they do have a show. I think I want to say Jet Set and Jasmine is the one that's doing it, but I really think you all should just go. It's like a tiptoe Sex Down South.
Sex Down South.
I already wrote it down.
I need to look into that. I mean,
and just buy a ticket to go to one of the. It's very tasteful, right? It's done very tastefully. So and go to one of the like after conference shows, like during the day. You just buy your ticket, and it's great. You're going to be around people who are sex therapists, sex advocates, sex workers, every different type of
sex workers, like prostitutes,
sex workers.
Like, no, I'm saying sex.
We're not going to call them prostitutes.
No, but you're not.
Put reference there.
They're not going there to like get jobs or anything like that.
Or anything else like that. I'm making a reference here. I mean, sex workers, as in, formerly called prostitutes. I don't know. Sex workers can be a lot.
So it's anything in the sex trade. So sex worker. So call girl, if you want to call it a prostitute, like black book list girl, like anybody in that whole genre arena.
It might not have sex.
Right. So just work. Sex and work, anything dealing with that sex worker.
So like, I feel like I can totally I feel like I can totally just beat somebody. I could go into that, like where whatever the S&M, whatever, as long as I don't like it, but I feel like I can enforce pain on somebody.
All right, little masochist.
I'm just saying.
I say this. Well, you want to find a masochist.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, but I feel like I could. That side of me, oh yes, totally. But
Jay might like that.
Well, no, no, I can't. I even bite too hard for him. So no, I like to bite.
I'm not in. You know what? That's so funny. I like to bite, but I don't like to be bitten.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't like to be bitten.
I don't like to be.
I like to bite,
and I like to be choked.
I don't like to
choke.
I like to see my teeth print, and he don't like that. So I don't.
Okay.
Well, that's how I know. That's how I know that I could totally chain somebody, bond them, beat them. If that's what they're into, I could do that. I just don't want it done to me. I don't want it done to me. Just
Go
say
ahead and try it.
with who?
Jay?
Jay ain't gonna let.
He might.
He's not. He is not. I have to curb my biting. I had to learn how to do that. So now I just really don't really. Yeah, sometimes I still hurt him, but it's. I'm trying. I'm working on me. Just saying, I'm working on me. He probably killed me for saying that, but it'd be all right.
Well, all of our husbands are going to kill each other. I know D probably heard me.
You know what? What's going to happen is, and then I want to have this conversation too, and I know we're over time, but I'm going to have this conversation too after I say this. What's going to happen is somebody's going to get a hold of this, and we're going to become the topic of a chat in a text stream. Because apparently, you know what they was talking about on the podcast. Yeah, so somebody's going to be playing this shit back, and probably it's going to be Jay. I don't know, because, you know.
Make sure Tasani not in there listening to it with her husband.
That part, because
That part.
don't be loud, because then Mario would take the group and be like, oh.
They
But so,
was up
let me
there
say
talking
this.
about.
And this is something we didn't talk about, but I hands down have to say this before we end the podcast. So the honeymoon in Grenada, I call it a honey fun. And I know that people, because Jay and I had already been together for so long, we've solo traveled, we've traveled with people. We opened our honeymoon up to people, whoever wanted to come. What I did not expect was the number of people to say that they were come. So it was 18, 19 people that went, 16. So I know 16 was on the same flight, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 22 people went. And 16 of those people were involved. So there were 8 married couples on this trip to Grenada. Yeah. When I say the energy was so matched and so positive, I walked away feeling like super comfortable, super inspired because they're talking about Black love that's associated with Black excellence. Mature conversations, just, having one another's back, your sister's keeper, your brother's keeper. Just it was such an amazing feeling to have, and for everybody to get together and get along. And we done formed our own little cruise out of it. That meant so much to me. Like literally so much to me, just to know that you can have authentic, real conversation. Because when we was out at the spa or out at the sauna, or what is it, whirlpool, whatever you want to call it, hot tub, the ladies, we were just in there having the conversation. And then there was men in there having their own conversations about relationships and love and marriage and all of those things. The power on that trip.
Yeah.
The power on that trip taught me everything that I really needed to know about debunking myths about Black relationships and what Black love looks like, and Black successful love between Black successful people, about the laughs that you can have, the relationships that you can build, and what you can learn from one another. And the power in that all by itself was like, whew, I can't wait for Colombia. That's all I'll say. Woo!
Yes, Lord. Well, ladies, I'm getting ready to have to go. We're getting ready to pause with, well, it's time anyway. Oh yeah, she said definitely in my ear. Oh, she said in her earpiece only. So thank you, Tasani. Hey, Tasani. You know what? It has been a pleasure. We are looking forward to season 7 with you all. Trust and Believe is coming this hot every single time. We're showing up a little bit differently this season, so there's more to come. Real raw conversations, and we look forward to connecting with you. We'll be back, same place, same time next week. And I would do a roundhouse, but we don't have time. You know who we are. It's been 7 years. You know who we are now. So, ladies, as we always end our podcast, cheers. Cheers.
This is Herspiration Happy